So you all voted. I'm going to do one final part to my Transformers rewrite series. Similar to my TMNT rewrite series, this is going to be mostly an original story. We open somewhere in an Andromeda galaxy, and we hear the end speech from the first Transformers film being picked up by the Quintessons. The squid-like Transformer creators, there's only now a handful of them. And hearing Optimus's message makes them mad, especially their leader, the many-faced Judge. Because they would have thought after all this time the Transformers would have just died out. But now they know they're still out there and they want their toys back. And they decide to create something a little deliciously irony. Then we cut to another planet sometime later. We zoom in, it's a Transformer colony and they're all nice and peaceful. Until we see one car driving around, all sinister-like, set to something really cool like moving metal from acceleracers. We see some scientists, but suddenly there's a bunch of crashing, and we see these Transformer ships attacking the people of the planet, abducting them, and they can also transform. And then suddenly there's also like a black mirror of Optimus fighting with them against the colony. And we cut to Earth, and it's like modern-ish time. We see Spike, Daniel, Carly, and Chip. They meet up with some Transformers, and they're celebrating the end of the Great War. That's a big intergalactic holiday now. And Daniel comedically calls Bumblebee like Goldbug because he's so shiny and feels great. And Megatron's now in gray instead of black like the last two films. They're celebrating the end of the war coming up in like a week or so, with some of the newly created Transformers like Tailgate, Strongarm, Lightspeed, Lug, Nautica, and Blaster. But it gets cut short when a ship called the Lost Light arrives, and on board are 3 refugees from that planet that was just attacked: Sandstorm, Beachcomber, and Anode. Bumblebee doesn't recognize them and introduces himself. Sandstorm quickly introduces them, and Anode explains that their planet was just attacked. Megatron, with some context clues, recognizes that they're the Quintessons. The Fallen told him about them. That's how he learned how to do the speak your spark to explode thing. I guess the creators are back and they want a factory recall. So they decide to put together a team to go and stop them. Say goodbye to the humans and Earth and put Leader 1 in charge when they're gone. And they head out on the Lost Light. No explains she was nearly captured by the Quintessons, but was saved by Sandstorm and Beachcomber. But on the ship, Anode was able to see a map to different lost colonies. We get some interactions with the crew, passing time, like Lug and Anode taking instant liking to each other, and Blaster trying to play some music to pass the time and everyone getting annoyed by it, except Sideswipe. They make it to one colony, Velocitron, and it's kind of like a Mars-ish looking planet, but it's in perpetual darkness because Sun Harvester, and the only thing lighting is all the street lights. It's kind of like cyberpunky. Crew disembarks and immediately gets caught by some of the locals. They all speak really fast, no one can really understand them. And then suddenly drives up is their leader, Override Prime. The different team leaders recap what's going on to Override, but Override says that she'll help if they can beat them in the Speedia 500. RC laments that Blur would have loved it here. And the Speedia 500 is one big race, and Cosmo is flying above, and he's kind of like Lakitu from Mario Kart. And we see that familiar car from the beginning roll up. The exclusive flyers are out, but everyone else you can turn to cars are in. And they head out. And it starts out like a pretty normal race for like 2 laps. But then the road starts lifting up, launching people into a new track. And it turns into like a triathlon obstacle course thing where they have to do all these like crazy activities. People are like bouncing off each other to get ahead. Cosmo's flashing a sign that lets people know they can transform in certain spots and not during other parts. And some people get eliminated for transforming when they're not allowed to. And during all of this, like the background music is Breaking the Habit instrumental from Linkin Park. This goes on for roughly 4 minutes until it's the final lap. And Override is still in the lead. She's the fastest, baby. Close up is that mysterious car, Bumblebee and Hotshot. Bumblebee and Hotshot try drifting together, but that mysterious car bumps Bumblebee. This causes a 3-car pile-up as the mysterious car starts slowing down. Bumblebee gets eliminated for transforming when it was not supposed to. Override and Hot Rod are the last 2 standing. as they get the sign to transform, and it gets to be kind of a tribute to Talladega Nights. And Hot Rod wins by 1 finger. Everyone's celebrating the victory, and Override concedes the victory, saying they'll help out, just for that mysterious car to pull up.
Pathetic.
He transforms, his first time on screen, into a Lockdown. His face turns into a cannon and he blasts Cosmo. Everyone's confused and he's like, call me Lockdown.
Autobots, Decepticons, like little children, always fighting, making a mess out of the universe.
Who are you working for?
You were built, and your creators want you back. There is one way you survive.
The Quintesson ship arrives and sweeps flood the air. Some of them transform and kidnap people. And Node screams, why would you help them? And Lockdown's like,
we all work for someone.
Then he pulls his pistols out on them, saying that he's helping the Quintessons so he can get some sweet upgrades. You can thank Optimus Prime for reminding the Quintessons we're still alive. He plays like a little bit of the end of the message. And RC screams, how dare you speak his name? This leads to a fight with him, RC, and Bumblebee, as the rest try to stop the sweeps. Drift loses his swords during the fighting, and Megatron saves him while trying to also not be too violent when he's rescuing the civilians getting captured. During all the chaos, Bumblebee sees a monochrome Optimus Prime. He gets confused, which distracts him enough to get hit by Lockdown and nearly crushed, as Lockdown's using a wire rope, but eventually he makes his escape with a sweep, also taking Cosmo's body with him. The team escapes back to the Lost Light. We have some minor casualties from the Velocitron team as they join with them. B tries explaining he thought he saw Optimus and everyone thinks that's kind of crazy. But Megatron believes him because this is all a stressful situation. He might be seeing things. So there's some traveling and RC tries cheering up the Velocitron survivors as we see a Node interacting with Lug, Nautica, and Blaster, having fun. And Sideswipe and Nautica might be hitting it off a little. As they make it to their next planet, Gigantus. It's built into a gas giant, and it's like gigantic. I mean, they look toy-sized compared to the city. But it's also, again, seemingly abandoned. But then they see something salvaging in some garbage, and Windblade picks him up, and he's super tiny. He tries struggling, and the group asks him what happened here. The Minicon reveals himself as Countdown. He's confused about them being Titans, but they don't know what they are, so he explains that the Titans died out millennia ago due to being gas-guzzling energy hogs, and their favorite kind of energon ran out on the planet. And they tried downscaling and resorting to alternate energy, but it was too little too late for most of them. So now the Minicons live on Gigantion as the Micromasters of the world. Bumblebee quickly explains they're forming an army to stop the Quintessons from collecting everyone. And Countdown agrees to take them to their village, where all the Minicons live inside the body of Omega Supreme, one of the fallen Titans. And they're like super tiny, and someone jokes that they're even smaller than Lug, but a Node stands up for her. As Bumblebee was explaining the situation to the Minicons, and their leader, Leader 1, explains that they don't have the means to help. But Rewind says they could use the old colony ship, the Lemuria. But Leader 1 says that's not the point. They don't want any of the Minicons to get hurt. Good luck on your adventure, but we're gonna sit here and hide. There's a bunch of debating, but eventually they just allow them to hide and they head to the next colony, the Jungle Planet. They land and Beachcomber loves how it looks, until they get attacked by a giant monster. But then they're helped out by a bunch of human-sized anthropomorphic animals. Bulkhead's like, whoa, thanks. But then they pull their weapons on them and he's like, whoa, thanks. Their leader, White Lion, screams that they're Predacons, we should execute them. But one of them, Deerstalker, says they don't look like Predacons. They like talk to each other in a native language. They explain yet again they're here to form an army to stop them from being enslaved. And White Lion says that's rich coming from cons like you. But when they don't know what they're talking about, there's some debate that these guys aren't Predacons. So Deerstalker explains to them their story. Long ago on Animatros, the battle beasts competed with one another for territory, until one colony ship known as the Hyperborea arrived with machines. The machines called themselves the Predacons, and their leader, the Predacene. They've been terrorizing the planet and enslaving the population to produce something they call Anejon to them, with their general Skybite and his army of Sharkticons to round up the citizens. And the Predacene lives in a massive castle, which the audience can tell is a sun harvester that never fired because of the Prime Wars, which is why this planet is the only one with life we've seen yet, and also the only one with natural lighting. And it's like right next to a waterfall as a reference to one of the Battlebeast playsets. But then the group is attacked by Skybite and his poetry. The Beast struggle fighting him, but he's a complete joke to the Transformers, who manage to scare him off. And during the action scene, we see the Sharkticons, and it turns out the Battlebeast have somewhat manipulation over the elements of fire, water, and wood. So now that they know the Autobots are completely on their side, they decide to join forces and head to the palace. There's adventuring, and the Battlebeasts have to ride on top of Nautica's boat form as they cross the ocean. They get attacked by giant monsters, and we see like Blaster repel one with his sonic blasting. They eventually make it to the palace, but during this we already see Lockdown's made it to the planet, and he's been upgraded, and he's talking with the Predacene and his generals. They refuse to give up the planet to the Quintessons, so Lockdown's like, well, we tried this the easy way. He pulls out Drift's swords, and there's like an epic fight between them all, and we get to see Lockdown take them down with all of his different gadgets. As the rest of the crew arrives, just for them to see the Predacene and his generals get collected, in a certain disturbing way, everyone's kind of horrified, which leads into a fight with them, and some sweeps that arrive, and because Lockdown's kind of exhausted from dealing with the Predacons, he actually loses. It looks like the good guys are going to win, until suddenly that Black Optimus appears. Everyone's like shocked. What? Bumblebee was right. What's going on? He starts attacking the Beast and Bumblebee.
Brian! Brian, stop! Brian, you gotta stop! Please, don't do this!
I am Nemesis Prime. You are nothing.
Lockdown mocks the crew, saying the Quintessons really liked their design, so they had to copy their Prime. Everyone's kind of horrified, which leads to the death of Lightspeed and Hotshot. Skybite's horrified to find his Predacene, so he tries lashing out at Nemesis just to get smacked around. Suddenly, the Quintessons arrive. They head into orbit and they start terraforming the planet into machine. White Lion's horrified and yells that they can't do that to their world.
All you species are the same. You all think you're the center of the universe. You have no idea.
Many of the Battlebeasts are freed, but are immediately wrecked by the terraforming. So Bumblebee tries sparing the planet by telling them where Earth is, as well as Cybertron lives again. And Nemesis gloats that that'll be a delicious prize to the Quintessons, reclaiming the lost jewel of the Quintessons, as well as claiming the Transformers' new home. Lockdown says that's perfect, this planet wasn't even that populated anyway. And then Lockdown says thanks Cosmos as he transforms and flies out. Everyone's back on the Lost Light, all damaged and stuff. Bumblebee's lamenting about the Optimus clone, how he saved one world, but now he's gonna lose both his homes. As Lost by Linkin Park plays, reflecting Bumblebee's feelings about the Optimus clone, as bots like Override and even Moonracer are upset with Bee for telling them about Cybertron and Earth, with Megatron, Hotshot, and Tailgate defending him, as well as even White Lion. The Battlebeasts thank them for saving their world, and they will help them. And Skybite agrees to also join them to get revenge on the Predacenes, much to the Battlebeast's annoyance. They try doing some repairs on the injured bots, but they don't really have the best personnel or equipment, like Bulkhead agreeing to be the medic for a while, and he doesn't really know what he's doing. Megatron tries helping out, saying that long ago he really wanted to be a medic until, well, so he knows a few things about fixing people. The last light is also pretty shot up from the last attack, and they end up force landing on some kind of planet of junk. They scope out the area until they get attacked by a bunch of bikers. The Junkions are screaming some sort of mix of Mongolian and TV ads in English. And they're riding on top of each other, and it's easy to knock them down, but keep them down is hard. As Dare to Be Stupid plays as a reference. There's some fighting until Megatron tries screaming that they have injured on board. So one of the Junkions tries saying Bawi Grana We Minibon. Megatron has no idea what this means, but he takes the piece of energon gum he's given and he eats it. The Junkions then celebrate and they all have a big party. And B laments that that's kind of what they sounded like forever ago. And the Junkion's Prime comes out and he's speaking Mongolian at first until he coughs something up. And suddenly he starts speaking English with the voice of Weird Al because reference to a reference. Rickar explains the Junkions live on this salvaged planet, and they're able to pick up on radio frequencies from Earth, which explains how he knows English and knows what about Megatron. They explain off screen what's going on as we cut to the Quintesson ship and all the captured bots, and Lockdown's toying with them until one of them, Bugbite, starts trying to grab at him. Lockdown's whoa, and trying to resist arrest. As we see a Quintesson, and they're big, but not big compared to a Transformer. He puts on his gear and he's the many-faced judge. Lockdown explains what happened, and he asks if they're guilty or innocent, and he says innocent. So Lockdown pulls Bugbite out of his cage and destroys him, claiming his battle mask for himself, as Nemesis tosses the rest of the body into a smoldering pit, as all the other captured cons and bots are looking on in horror. Back with the others, everyone's getting fixed up, and B gets a new head and all fixed up, saying that he feels as good as a Goldbug, and he remembers Spike. Rutger agrees to help because how else are they going to get entertainment if Earth is gone? So they head out for their final adventure, as the Quintessons are already on Earth attacking, and see Spike and the group head for safety as the last light arrives, and they come up with a plan. The Sharkticons, Junkions, and Battle Beasts heading to Earth to help out. The rest will stay up in space and deal with the Quintessons with a small group heading towards the flagship. There's an epic fight with all the sweeps attacking the planet. Eventually they make it to the flagship. Goldbug has a rematch with Nemesis when he's on the offensive this time, screaming how dare you steal his likeness as the battle starts turning, and he's almost stabbed in the face until the ship starts shaking because the Lemuria arrives. The Minicons take out a lot of the Quintesson ships, and they radio over that they came here because they followed their Energon trail. There's a couple casualties like Sandstorm. As the rest of the team makes it onto the flagship, eventually Megatron comes across the Quintessons.
Worm, so small I could smite you with a step.
The judge screams, "How dare you? We are your creators." And he tries whispering and spark until Megatron picks him up, squeezing the armor, crushing it, so he's just a squid.
There was a time I would smite you all for what was done to Storm, but today I have saved you, for an old friend has challenged me to remember this view of Earth.
As we cut to the on ground and we see a bunch of other Transformers fighting, especially the Combiners for once.
Charles Xavier entrusted me with his dream. It does not ask you to love or embrace my kind as your own, but merely to accept that this is a shared world with a common future, and that my kind, like yours, have the right to live in it. I am trying to be better. Please, do not make me let you down.
But then Lockdown enters and yells to let go of his moneymaker, so Megatron does, dropping him on a control panel, and he bleeds yellow. Then the two fight, with Megatron making sure the Quintessons can't escape the room. He uses his mace for the first time since the second film. And that control panel the judge landed on and died released a bunch of the prisoners, and they head into the control room, and they start attacking Lockdown, pulling them apart, taking their stuff back. And Megatron is able to rip off Lockdown's head and pushes him into the melting pit. With Nemesis, everyone's fighting him. There's some casualties. It seems like because he's as strong as Optimus, no one can defeat him. But suddenly, Megatron rushes him from behind, using Lockdown's head cannon as a new fusion cannon. And kind of ironically, the good guy Megatron defeats the bad guy Optimus. Everyone's kind of weirded out by that, but then he rips off the cannon and tosses it into the melting pit. Nemesis tries getting back up, but Gold puts his foot on him and says, "This is for Optimus," pushing him into the melting pit. The sweeps are shut down. The Quintessons are locked up right next to some of the ex-cons, and we get like a joke that Swindle tries selling them a shiv. Starscream says, "Get used to this." And we end on everyone celebrating and fixing up, and Goldbug gives our end monologue, saying that we celebrate this day as the end of the Cybertronian Wars. A day of remembrance for those we lost and we love, but a day of triumph as we march forward, a new golden age of peace and happiness. Everyone on all the different colonies are happy and celebrating. We end with the Transformer theme cover by Linkin Park. We see Megatron tend to the flowers, like a new Speedia 500 of a couple of bots, like Trax and Drift, like Nautica and Sideswipe getting together, Skybite staying on Earth, Beachcomber moving the Jungle Planet with the Battle Beast, Blaster moving the Giant Planet because they love his tunes, Junkion's getting an old satellite TV so he can enjoy more of Earth's crap even easier, and a Node and Lug together, and we see them like kiss. And finally, we get a tribute to Paul Rubens, my ideal for Starscream. Thank you all for sticking with me this long, and I hope you enjoyed my Transformer Michael Bay rewrite series. I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you did. Till all are one.